Hi there, I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom tonight. And here in Washington, a landmark day at the Supreme Court with the justices handing down two major and controversial decisions on the very last day of the term, decisions with the potential to impact thousands of people across the country. Take a look at what it looked like outside court today. Emotional moments from some, high fives, hugs after the rulings came in. In the first case, the justices delivering a major blow to President Trump's immigration policies, deciding to uphold birthright citizenship. This is something the president's been trying to end since day one of his second term, signing that executive order you see there, which would ban automatic citizenship for babies born to undocumented immigrants. But in a 6-3 decision, the majority said the president's order takes it too far and that birthright citizenship is clearly established in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Now, all that said, the president did get a different win from the high court today when justices ruled states can ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's sports in public schools. This is something the president pushed for from the campaign trail. Today's rulings closing the book on one of the most consequential sessions for the Supreme Court. And now the question, what happens next from here? Our senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett, is tracking it all. She starts us off tonight.
Tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court dealing a major blow to President Trump's immigration crackdown, striking down his controversial executive order that sought to ban automatic U.S. citizenship for babies born to undocumented immigrants. The president today slamming the court's decision as too bad for our country, while immigration advocates celebrated it.
The fact is that if you're born here, you're an American citizen, period.
The president has long railed against birthright citizenship enshrined in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution passed after the Civil War.
This was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens of our country. This was meant, or other rich people, poor people. This was meant for the babies of slaves.
But today, Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, reaffirming the long-settled understanding of the 14th Amendment, guaranteeing citizenship to all children born in the U.S. and subject to its power, with limited exceptions. Writing, quote, the framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every free-born person in this land. We keep that promise today. In dissent, Justice Samuel Alito calling the ruling a serious mistake that preserves a powerful incentive to enter or remain in this country illegally. The executive order, if allowed, could have potentially impacted more than 250,000 babies born in the U.S. every year to non-citizens. 13-year-old Mia expressing relief today that families like hers can now stay together.
This is our home. We belong here.
Laura is with us now. And Laura, some Republicans are pushing to respond to this ruling, but any kind of response like that seems pretty unlikely to succeed, right?
It does, Hallie. We've seen the Republicans on the Hill talking about potentially a congressional path forward, but they know it really requires a constitutional amendment, which you know is no easy feat. We're talking about 2/3 of Congress. We're talking about the states having to ratify it. The Constitution made it hard on purpose. It's not something that's done every day, and they know this issue would be a real challenge.
Laura, we're going to talk more about that. I'm going to ask you to hang tight for just a second because I want to talk more about that second ruling, which does allow states to keep bans in place on transgender girls and women on public school sports teams. Stephanie Gosk has more on this one.
Tonight, President Trump calling it a big win, while civil rights advocates slam it as a blow to transgender rights. The Supreme Court's conservative majority upholding state laws banning transgender girls and women from playing on female sports teams in public schools. Justice Brett Kavanaugh writing, allowing only biological females to play on women's and girls' teams can reduce the risk of physical injury and ensure fair competition. But the ACLU, representing the two transgender athletes in the case, calling the decision devastating.
It's not just about winning trophies, it's about learning life lessons.
27 states currently ban transgender women and girls from participating in female sports, with an NBC News poll last year showing over 75% of Americans support those bans. Macy Petty Charles celebrating today's decision. She competed against a transgender athlete and hopes more states will pass bans.
I would hope that it would embolden every state to protect those female athletes, and I hope that they themselves are emboldened today to take action, to speak up for what they know is right.
But critics of the ruling see a silver lining. So you see this as a loss, but not as big of a loss as it maybe could have been.
Absolutely. They didn't write a ticket, for the other side to claim that you can discriminate against transgender people in all other contexts.
The Supreme Court ruling upholds the bans, but it doesn't compel states that don't have bans to enact them. And it very explicitly did that in its ruling, which means that that's an outstanding issue. There are some places where, like Connecticut and California, where there are lawsuits filed, and that is another side of this battle that has not been resolved with this decision today, Hallie.
Stephanie Gosk, thank you. Let me bring Laura back in. And joining us here on set, we're happy to have Josh Gerstein, senior legal affairs reporter for Politico, with us here in Washington as well. Laura, let me start with you, and then Josh, I want to get to you in a couple of things. But Laura, you laid out clearly on this birthright citizenship case why the justices decided to uphold it. But let's not forget that 3 justices didn't agree. Like, it was explain that. What was the dissenting opinion? What was that about?
Yeah, it wasn't a complete windfall here for the advocates, Hallie. Some might have said it should have been 9-0, but those 3 really did have serious a bone to pick with the majority there. Justice Alito, in particular, I thought it was notable, really echoing some of the types of sentiments we've heard from the Trump administration when he talks about sort of this influx that will result, influx of migrants, I should say, that would result from having birthright citizenship, even though it's been on the books for more than 150 years at this point, essentially saying that people are taking advantage of that rule. Again, really largely echoing policy arguments that we've heard from the Trump administration, but that's far different than a constitutional argument, far different than the type of textual arguments than you typically see from Alito and others on the court.
But they're policy arguments, Josh, that the president, as Laura points out, the president has made the case for. He's still making the case for them. It's not as though this decision came down and he said, oh, okay, we're giving that up. He wants Republicans to try to keep pushing to end birthright citizenship. Isn't that kind of impossible at the moment?
It seems like it is impossible. I mean, he seems to be alluding to Justice Kavanaugh's opinion, which was only for Justice Kavanaugh. And he said he didn't think the Constitution guarantees birthright citizenship to people, but that federal law as it's written right now does guarantee it, and therefore Trump couldn't go forward with this executive order. The only problem with that is sort of the basis for Trump's new effort is that Justice Kavanaugh seemed to be the only taker on that narrow point. Maybe he could get the other 3 dissenters today to go along with him. That still only gets you to 4. So I don't really see a way for the president to sort of fix this short of a change in the makeup of the court. It was fundamentally like a 5-4 decision on the constitutional question.
There's also this other ruling that we talked about that Steph reported on trans athletes here. How do you see this as we look ahead now, end of the term today, as we look ahead to the next term, future terms, et cetera? Does that open the door potentially, do you think, for the court to issue more rulings that that LGBTQ plus advocates may see as concerning for them moving forward?
Well, it does. I mean, even on this trans issue, because you have states that have guaranteed rights to trans athletes, so they've basically taken the opposite position from the states that won today. And in the majority opinion here, Justice Kavanaugh said we're not ruling on that or addressing that issue today, but he noted that there are legal challenges going on over that. And I think eventually you will see arguments being made that the very presence of trans athletes is so unfair to the cisgender female athletes on these women's and girls teams that they should be banned and that they're required to be banned. And I suspect that's something the court's going to wrestle with within the next term or 2.
Can I ask you, as somebody who knows this court, as somebody who's been reporting on this, the legal and political, was there anything that surprised you today? Or what did you find most interesting coming out of the last day of the term today?
Well, I thought on this issue of the birthright citizenship, I mean, I thought, as Laura said, it was interesting that they got 3 votes for this position that, and arguably 4 votes for the position that the Constitution doesn't cover this. I did actually think we might see something of a political compromise, more like Kavanaugh's opinion that tried to punt the issue to Congress because it would be less of a direct snub to Trump. And now we've seen 2 really, really major decisions this term, this decision and the tariffs decision, just, huge chunks of Trump's agenda on the economic side and on the immigration side take a hit from this court. Of course, he hasn't lost all of those cases, including on immigration. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, maybe more than 1 million people who could be deported as a result of the TPS rulings that the court issued on temporary protected status for people from war-torn countries or countries with natural disasters.
He certainly got some wins, too, as you point out, Josh. Like, Laura, we just talked about whenever it was it yesterday, the expansion of federal powers that he got to some degree, although not for the Fed. Can I ask you, as we look ahead, what's your eye on for next term? I know we have a summer to chill for a minute, but they're going to hear a case on assault weapons, right?
They sure are, Hallie, and it's an interesting case because AR-15 is obviously something that so many people have had so much criticism over for so long. So many states have tried to pass bans, even though the federal ban lapsed some time ago. States like Connecticut, which passed stricter laws after that horrendous Sandy Hook massacre, and now the Supreme Court's going to have to say, as Josh knows well, this is a court that has vastly expanded Second Amendment powers almost at every juncture that we have seen. And so that will be a big case to watch next term.
Josh, how about for you? What are you watching for? I mean, no retirements today. Obviously, we're looking ahead to this conservative majority as the president is entering the last, half of his second term here.
Well, I'm looking mainly at sort of the allegiances of the justices that Trump has appointed to the court. Quite interesting that you saw Justice Barrett, again, basically turn her back on Trump on this birthright citizenship ruling, and she has sort of now established herself as, of those three that Trump has appointed to the court, the one that is most likely to stray from sort of the orthodoxy of the Trump administration.
Josh, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you here in Washington. Laura, always great to chat with you. Appreciate it. Thank you. More to watch when we reconvene in the fall. Let's take you to Pennsylvania now. We've got some breaking news tonight. Just outside Philly, a freight train has derailed. Concerns about a hazmat issue prompting a shelter-in-place order briefly as officials warned of this potential leak of some of the hazardous materials that were on the train. Let me bring in Johnny Archer from our NBC 10 Philadelphia station, who's joining us now. Not too far from the scene, Johnny. I know you're right there. Talk us through the latest as what you're seeing on the ground.
Yeah, Hallie, we're about a quarter of a mile away from that train derailment, and you can hear this truck going by me right now. This truck just brought in some heavy machinery. If you push down the street a little bit, you can see that heavy machinery that they brought in to help with this cleanup process with this train derailment that happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. But if you take a look at some aerial footage from earlier, you can see this train derailment that happened in Ben Salem, which is about 20 miles north of Philadelphia. Officials say that derailment happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon, where about 16 out of a 72-car train derailed. They say 2 of those cars were carrying hazardous materials on them, and out of an abundance of caution, they say none of the hazardous materials appear to be leaking, but out of an abundance of caution, they evacuated the immediate area, and that impacted about 20 homes and some businesses where that train derailment happened. Hallie?
Johnny, we may not know the answer to this, but do we have any more specifics on what those quote-unquote hazardous materials are? Any sense of it or not yet?
Yeah, so the public safety director here in Ben Salem Township says that one car was carrying some type of alcohol in the car, the other was carrying some type of acid, but he did not know the specifics of what that material or those materials were inside the car. But again, it appears that none of those cars were leaking anything, and they did lift that evacuation order and shelter in place. They also mentioned that nobody was injured in this train derailment. Now things have been turned over to CSX, who will be responsible for the cleanup process, but their determination and why this train derailed, that is still under investigation. Hallie.
Johnny Archer, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Now to the dangerous heat wave sweeping across the country with 170 million people under alerts as record high temperatures are taking hold this holiday week, and the heat in the West is fueling fast-moving wildfires. Our Dana Griffin has the details.
Tonight, a massive heat wave is baking half the country, with temperatures expected to soar into the high 90s across most of the Northeast and Midwest. And it'll feel even hotter. The heat index already topping 100 in Chicago, St. Louis, and Milwaukee, where crews battling a massive fire are on reduced work cycles.
We're encouraging them to take their coats off, cool off, rehydrate, get some water. We are also increasing their recovery time.
And in Philadelphia, World Cup organizers will be scaling back viewing schedules at several fan fests. Out west, these are the extremely dry, windy conditions fueling massive wildfires. This ring camera video capturing the ferocious Aspen Acres fire in Colorado. It's crazy. Forcing hundreds to evacuate and destroying more than 150 structures. In Utah, evacuees allowed back into the cottonwood burn zone for the first time.
We had 5 minutes to get what we could. It was moving pretty quick. It was very quick. It sounded like a freight train. It was unreal.
Jim Stetler and Cindy Abbott, who manage campgrounds on the mountain, lost everything.
This community has been just by far the strongest, most wonderful, supportive community that I've ever been in my life.
A dangerous double threat, hammering more than half the country. As we head into the holiday weekend and temperatures increase, officials are concerned about drier conditions, which means heightened fire risk. Governors of both Utah and Colorado now reminding people to be cautious as they celebrate to avoid starting new fires. Here in Utah, most fireworks are now banned. Hallie?
Dana Griffin with that smoke protection as well. Dana, thank you. For more on this extreme heat, I want to turn to meteorologist Bill Cairns, who's back with us tonight. I hate to say it's going to get worse before it gets better, but that's just the reality ahead of the holiday weekend.
Yeah, Hallie, everyone in the Midwest is more than happy to share all their hot air and send it to the East Coast instead of them dealing with it. Today, at one point, it felt like 106 degrees in the shade in Chicago, and that was even warmer than Houston. So that's why we have all these extreme heat warnings. At night, it's just not going to cool off that much, and that's where it gets really dangerous. And now the heat is starting to push into areas of the east, and that begins tomorrow. So Chicago, still almost equally as hot tomorrow. Columbus, Ohio, 107. The really bad stuff, the really dangerous, extremely dangerous stuff. Nashville's going to feel like 111. I saw that Memphis is going to feel like 114 degrees tomorrow. Even by Memphis standards, that's a really impressive heat wave. And then we'll start talking like Richmond 102, New York City starting to feel like 100. And then by the time we get through Thursday and Friday, that's when the heat really builds in the eastern half of the country. It's not like it really goes away either. It's going to take a while for all of this to work itself out. Areas in the Carolinas will stay hot right through the 4th. And here's D.C. 102 Friday, 101 Saturday, Sunday 95, but a little cooler, but the humidity is much worse. So the heat index will actually be worse on Sunday, even though the temperature is lower, because that extreme humidity that's now in Illinois and Iowa, that's all going to move to the east. So as far as the fireworks forecast is going to go, we don't have a lot of problems with people getting to their holiday destinations. We're just going to have typical hit and miss showers and storms. And even on the 4th, you're just scattered out here. Nothing that's going to cancel any shows. So that's the great news. We still have these horrific fires ongoing. That one fire that exploded yesterday was the Aspen Acres fire. 28,000 acres, consumed 155 structures in one day alone. And we still have an impressive smoke plume coming off that one. We have numerous other new fires. You can just see the gray here. That's smoke. That's not clouds in the air. So there's still numerous other fires burning, Hallie. No rain in sight. With the fireworks this weekend, we're fearful that there could be even additional new blazes starts.
It's just staggering to look at this, Bum. I'm looking at the maps and everything that's going on. It's truly, you know, a triple threat, a 1, 2, 3 punch, if you will. Bill Cairns, we'll talk again, I'm sure. Appreciate it. Here in Washington, too, you got President Trump late today releasing his financial disclosure forms. What's interesting about them? Apparently, he made a ton of money from crypto. Let me bring in Gabe Gutierrez, who's joining us from the White House. $1 billion with a B dollars?
Yeah, Allie, it is quite a significant amount of money. The president reporting earnings of at least $1.2 billion in 2025 from crypto and meme coin related businesses. Now, that includes more than $588 million from sales by World Liberty Financial. That's the crypto firm whose co-founders include the president and his sons. Now, Hallie, as you know, the Trump administration has loosened restrictions on the crypto industry, but the White House now insists that this is not a conflict of interest and that the president's actions have been, quote, in the best interest of the American people. Now, this financial disclosure is 927 pages. That is significantly larger than last year's. And the Trump Organization is now telling NBC News that the breadth and depth of this filing further underscores our commitment to transparency, Hallie.
What else? I mean, among the other things of note in this disclosure, some of the stock trades that the president's made, right?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting window into his finances. The filings show hundreds of stock sales and purchases in companies as wide-ranging as Eli Lilly, Live Nation, Paramount Skydance, and also NBC's parent company, Comcast. Now, the sale proceeds are only listed in ranges, Hallie, so we don't know specific amounts, but some notable large purchases are Meta, by the way, which was worth $250,000 to $500,000, and also Nvidia, which was worth $1 to $5 million. Now, Hallie, there were also some perks listed as well under gifts and travel reimbursements, including 10 Super Bowl tickets worth $50,000, 10 U.S. Open tickets worth $25,000, 10 FIFA World Cup final tickets worth $15,000. Oh, and Hallie, the liabilities section also includes an active American Express card that he pays towards monthly, apparently. Hallie.
Gabe Gutierrez sifting through all of it with the team there in Washington or there at the White House. Gabe, thank you, pal. Appreciate it. We got a lot more to get to here in Washington in just a second, including the alligator attack in Florida. Just horrific. A woman killed while swimming. We've got the horrifying 911 call and what happened in the minutes before. Plus, just in tonight, the apparent standoff shutting down a big highway. Police with guns drawn. We'll tell you what we're learning as we speak. And the unexpected passenger riding shotgun. Look at this. Driver trying to get inside his truck only to find a bear. We'll tell you how he got it out. It took a minute. Next. We are back with new developments in that deadly alligator attack in Florida, with officials now identifying the victim as we're hearing the frantic 911 calls in the moments after it happened, with a warning that audio is difficult to listen to. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, we're hearing the urgent 911 call after a woman was attacked and killed by a massive alligator in central Florida. Officials identifying the victim as 31-year-old Brittany Clark, who authorities say was hiking at a state park outside Orlando with her boyfriend and best friend Sunday when they stopped to swim and cool off in a shallow river about 3 feet deep. It was then that the massive alligator struck, her friends frantically calling 911.
Somebody got bit by a deer.
Bad, real bad, please, hurry. Please hurry, she's losing a lot of breath.
Over the next 10 minutes, the operator stays on the phone as Clark screams out in pain while her friends try to move her to safety.
I can't move. No, it's okay. We're good.
No, we're not.
And how bad is the bite?
Horrible. Her arm is dislocated. Almost like dislocated. Both her arms.
Both her arms
are off, like basically.
As they wait for help, you can hear the increasing desperation. Eventually, first responders arrive, but sadly, the injury's too great. Officials say Clark died on her way to the hospital.
Incredibly, incredibly difficult. A nightmare for her friends, for her family, as we're hearing more from Brittany's boyfriend tonight, Liz.
Yeah, Hallie, that's right. Her boyfriend tells NBC News, of course, he's incredibly distraught. He says that she was an amazing, strong, and caring person, one of the most outgoing people that he knew, someone who loved going in the water. And he said never in a million years could they have imagined this nightmare. And Hallie, I know we talked about this last night, but it's just important to point out again, as people go into the water to cool off in the summer, that right now is the end of the alligator mating season there in Florida, which means that they can be more prevalent and more aggressive. Hallie.
Liz Kreutz, so many people thinking about her and her family tonight. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. Coming up, we'll take you over to Capitol Hill with a congressman returning after months out of the public eye. Why he says he needed time away to focus on his health. Plus, inside NASA's daring rescue mission to save a space telescope before it comes crashing down to Earth. Welcome back to Top Story. If it's Tuesday, it is election night, which means our very own Steve Kornacki is just, you are there. I never see you anywhere else, my man. I'm so excited for the big board because we got some interesting primaries tonight. I know we'll talk more about some other interesting one in the weeks to come, but talk to us about Colorado, what we're watching there, right?
Yeah, Hallie, it's the season for interesting primaries. And the theme here on the Democratic side, are there incumbents in trouble in Colorado? It's a question here about Senator John Hickenlooper as he seeks a second term. He's being challenged from the left by a state lawmaker, Julie Gonzalez. She has backing from Our Revolution, the Bernie Sanders-aligned group. She's running certainly on a lot of themes we've seen sort of far-left candidates run on in some of these Democratic primaries, like in New York City last week, where they had success. Could they have success statewide in Colorado? Not a ton of polling in this race. So we're going to find out tonight, though. Of course, Colorado was a state in the Democratic presidential primary back in 2020. It was a Sanders state, so there is a liberal strain here in the electorate. The incumbent who is definitely in trouble is right here in the 1st Congressional District. This is based in the city of Denver. Diana DeGette, she has been a member of Congress since 1996, a progressive member of Congress, but she's being challenged from farther to the left. Mela Quiros, backed by the Democratic Socialists of America. She's run to the left of DeGette. She has emphasized criticism, attacks of Israel in her campaign. And again, demographically, when you look at this district, overwhelmingly Democratic, a lot of younger voters, progressive, college-educated renters. That's the formula that DSA-aligned candidates had success with in New York City. We're going to find out if they have success with it in this 1st district primary tonight, again, against a longtime incumbent.
And real quick, Steve, just touch on the governor's race, if you will.
Yeah, so on the Democratic side here, again, this theme of incumbents, are they in trouble? Yeah. A twist on incumbent here. Michael Bennet is an incumbent United States senator. He's seeking to become the governor here. And again, his opponent here, conventional political biography. This is the state attorney general, Phil Weiser, but he is running to Bennett's left. He's trying to get to his left and also trying to use Bennett's longtime status on Capitol Hill against him, sort of running against the Washington wing of the Democratic Party. The winner of that primary tonight going to face one of these 3 Republicans here, 2 state lawmakers, Barb Kirkmeyer, Scott Bottoms, and Victor Marks. There's a lot to say about Marks. I could say simply a controversial candidate.
Can I ask you super quickly about one of the things that I find most interesting today, not related to Colorado, which is Texas, which is, as you know, Steve, long been kind of like a shimmering mirage for Democrats that maybe they can take this red state and turn it blue. They've got that high-stakes Senate race between James Tallarico and Ken Paxton. And this brand-new poll out today is giving some fuel to that fire, it sounds like, because it's basically a dead heat, at least at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, take a look. This is a New York Times Siena poll out of Texas, and you can see Tallarico, Paxton tied at 47 right here. And go inside those numbers one layer. I do think this is interesting. The image of each candidate, favorable or unfavorable. You look at Tallarico, 45-39. He's actually got a positive image rating here. Paxton, of course, it's been years of controversy for him as the state attorney general. 38 favorable, 50 unfavorable. Democrats obviously excited. The race is tied overall. Republicans say, hey, look, they've got room here, they say, to move that Tallarico number up.
Super interesting. Steve Kornacki will look for the Kornacki cam this evening, pal. Can't wait. Thanks, you. Got to get you an update here in Washington from Capitol Hill. And you remember that representative from New Jersey, the congressman who went mysteriously missing for months? Left, basically, wasn't seen publicly. Today, he is finally back in Congress after this 4-month disappearance from the public eye. Tom Kean revealing he was diagnosed with depression. Here's Ryan Nobles.
Representative Tom Kean returning to Congress after an initially unexplained months-long absence from the public eye, revealing he was treated for depression.
It is physical. It is emotional. And until you experience it yourself, it is difficult to fully understand how powerful this illness can be. The doctors recommended that I remain in the hospital to address my illness.
The Republican congressman from New Jersey back in the House of Representatives for the first time since March 5th.
Today, I stand before you healthier, stronger, and excited to return to the work that I love.
During his time away, Kean missed more than 140 votes in the chamber. His disappearance sparked months of speculation.
He's just been gone.
Answering phone calls or emails from his constituents.
I think there's a good amount of privacy that people are allowed to have, whether they're in office or not.
Kean is not the first congressperson to publicly reveal a struggle with depression. U.S. Senator John Fetterman gained national attention when he checked himself into Walter Reed National Military Medical Center to be treated for depression in February of 2023, which his office publicly announced within days of his starting treatment.
It's a real thing, and something is wrong with you, but it's something that needs to be addressed.
Kean did not discuss his diagnosis or remarks after the speech. He's up for re-election this November.
I think Tom gets re-elected easily this fall, and he'll be back, and he'll be back in full health.
His opponent, Democrat Rebecca Bennett, saying in a statement, "I am relieved that Congressman Tom Kean Jr. is well and continue to wish him good health. But let's be clear, I got into this race because Tom Kean Jr. was failing our community long before this absence."
Kean represents a swing district that's expected to be highly competitive this fall. In fact, it could shape the balance of power. He already has President Trump's endorsement. He will face off against Rebecca Bennett, a Democrat who is a former Navy helicopter pilot. Hallie?
Ryan Nobles, thank you. To Top Stories news feed now, starting with what's a developing situation in Massachusetts we're hearing about late tonight. An apparent police standoff shutting down a big highway. Look at this. Video shows a pickup truck stopped in the median, but a bunch of officers and cruisers surrounding it. It all started right in the middle of rush hour. As you saw there, bringing traffic to a standstill. State police say they were investigating something, although they didn't say what. No word yet on when the highway will reopen. We're going to keep an eye on this one. In New York City, 2 people were killed and 20 others hurt when a coach bus crashed. Officials say it flipped into oncoming traffic overnight. You can see it here, hitting 2 other vehicles. Royal Jordanian Airlines reports it had 15 crew members on the bus, which was heading to JFK Airport. One of them was killed along with the bus driver. We're told the others are expected to be okay. And in Colorado, take a look at this. Somebody opening the passenger door, finding somebody or something unexpected riding shotgun. Yes, it's a bear, a wild bear, popping its head out. It doesn't leave, so the guy thinks, okay, I'll grab this piece of wood and poke at it. So he did, took a couple tries, but the bear eventually gets out the other side and he manages to chase it away. No word yet on how the bear got in the truck in the first place. Here in Washington tonight, the Great American State Fair, as it's called, is in full swing down at the National Mall with this event commemorating America's 250th anniversary, billed as a massive can't-miss celebration. But the heat wave starting to hit D.C. may be affecting attendance, at least for now. Gary Grumbach is in the middle of all the action. All right, Gary, vibe check. What you got?
I will give you a lay of the land here. Welcome to the Great American State Fair, Hallie and viewers. I want to show you what we've got here. There's a rodeo happening behind here. Secretary Brooke Rollins, the Agriculture Secretary, is there watching men on horses ride around in circles. And then we've got here the Great American State Fair. There's the Ferris wheel. That is, it is a 200-foot tall Ferris wheel. We've also got the Arch de Trump, as folks here are calling it. That is a replica of what the arch is actually going to look like there on Memorial Circle when it is built in the next few years here in Washington, D.C. And then you've got everything around here. There are 56 booths, and that is where each state and territory here in the U.S. is providing a little bit of insight into what they have to offer. So we're going to walk into West Virginia real quick. Wild and wonderful West Virginia, as it's called. Thank you so much. We're going to walk right in here and show you what you have to offer here. This is what West Virginia has to offer the American people. There's a game where folks can ride around, pretend they're on the country roads of West Virginia. There is a lot to learn about West Virginia here. And then over here, right behind us, camerawoman Beth here is going to show us how to do the lyrics of Take Me Home, Country Roads, and what the actual lyrics are, Almost Heaven, West Virginia. So that's a little bit about what you see here in West Virginia. We're going to come outside, Beth, and show you what's coming out outside. But there's also a lot of folks here that are talking about the potential and what the potential that this fair had to be. There's a lot that's not here. You're seeing a lot of empty space. There's several hundred people here tonight. It's certainly cooler. There's nothing organizers can do about the hot weather here in D.C. expected over the next couple days. But there's no taste of the states, right? Each state doesn't have its own booth where food could be. There's a lot of politics involved in this as well, right? There's a secretary, a cabinet secretary, or the president speaking every single night of this fair. The FBI director's girlfriend sang the national anthem. A lot of politics has been infused into the 250th birthday of this country. Hallie.
Give us Gary, first of all. I love that your shoelaces are tied. You are rocking and rolling out there, my man. And you even held the door as if on cue. Maybe she was on cue. Very impressive. Real quick, what do we got coming up? Like, what's the big event? Because obviously the big stuff happens, I think, Friday and Saturday night, right?
Yeah, the big day is the 4th of July on Saturday, where 850,000 fireworks are expected to go off around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And that's part of the problem, right? That's a pretty late fireworks show. It's expected to be 40 minutes, the largest fireworks show to ever happen in the history of the world. But the only thing that's stopping the fireworks show from starting is the president from finishing talking, because his speech is expected to begin right before the fireworks start. Hallie.
Gary Grumbach and his crew, our thanks to you out there on the National Mall. Gary, thank you. To 2 critical space missions we're following tonight. 260 miles above Earth, 2 astronauts today braving a more than 6-hour-long spacewalk to fix a robotic arm on the International Space Station. And here at home, people watched on NASA's website, on YouTube, on Amazon Prime, on Netflix. This is a big deal, right? The 2 astronauts on this journey doing a lot of prep to get ready for this. They customized their suits even with pictures of family members, relatives, people they love. Separately, we are just hours away now from the next launch window for a different mission that would send a robotic spacecraft into orbit to save a falling telescope. Joining us now to share his expertise, friend of the show, Jose Hernandez, former NASA astronaut. Jose, it's great to see you.
Great being here, Hallie. Exciting times here at NASA.
No kidding. And we got a lot. We got arms, we got telescopes, we got all sorts of stuff. Let's talk about the spacewalk, because you worked with a robotic arm like this one. What's so important about it that it needed to be fixed so urgently and in this manner?
Well, what happened is that the wrist joint, what they noticed is when they moved the wrist joint, the currents went up, which means there's some friction and resistance. And so they decided that it's reached its lifetime, and they designed this EVA spacewalk to actually replace it. They already had a part there because they expected it to wear out sooner or later. It turns out to be sooner than later. And here they are, a 7-hour, 20-minute spacewalk later. It has a new wrist arm, and it's working perfectly. Thanks to astronaut Chris Williams and Jessica Meyer.
Which is good news. I mean, you spend 6 hours fixing something. You hope it turns out well. What about the rescue mission for the telescope, right? What's going on with that? What happens if NASA can't actually get this fixed?
Well, I think they'll get it fixed, but I think it has multi-capabilities, because my understanding is that this SWIFT satellite also contains several telescopes and measures signals, multi-wave signals called gamma ray bursts, or GRBs. And that's very important because we're able to listen and see what's happening to stars, very far away, which helps us understand the origin of our universe. So it's very important science being conducted there.
Yeah, no kidding. And lots of people watching it, lots of intrigue around all of it. Jose Hernandez, great to see you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Hallie.
Back now with a dramatic story unfolding overseas. Police in Monaco and France are looking for a suspected bomber after 3 members of a family were hurt in an explosion. And questions growing tonight about whether they may have been targeted. Here's Ryan Chandler.
Tonight, an urgent international manhunt after an explosion rocked the exclusive enclave of Monaco. Police in Monaco and France say they believe a suspect left a parcel bomb at this apartment, injuring a man, woman, and child before fleeing into France on foot. The 3 all of Ukrainian descent, according to police, and members of one family. Photos of the scene show the front door blown away, a white tarp covering the blast zone, and blood staining the entrance. The home's upstairs windows appearing blown out. I heard a detonation like I've never heard before, this man says. Monaco's prosecutor says they're investigating the attack not as terrorism, but as a targeted assassination attempt. The Associated Press, citing Monaco's chief prosecutor, reporting a Ukrainian tycoon with ties to Russia was among the injured. The motive of the attack is not known. Monaco's prosecutor says the woman is in critical condition. The man and child are expected to survive. The brazen attack, leaving residents shaken. I moved here for the security, this man says. Tonight, authorities in France and Monaco hardening their shared border, vowing a swift capture of the suspected bomber. Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
The top stories Global Watch now, starting in Venezuela, where teams are still looking for survivors after those 2 powerful and deadly earthquakes. Venezuelan officials now confirming more than 1,900 people have been killed, some 10,000 others hurt. You've got aid groups warning about what they see as a growing humanitarian crisis. Hospitals being pushed to the brink, thousands of people sleeping in crowded shelters. We're watching this one, of course, closely. And in South Africa, thousands of demonstrators gathering in parts of that country to rally against illegal immigration. Some groups are calling on all migrants living there illegally to leave now, setting a deadline for today. But the government, they're pushing back, saying only officials have the power to make those decisions. The activists blame migrants for issues like high crime rates and unemployment among South Africans. And take a look, this video of a volcano erupting today in the Philippines. You can see it, the explosion there coming out of that crater of water. Officials say the whole thing lasted about 5 minutes, sending that cloud of ash and smoke some 4,000 feet into the sky. And every night this week, as we've talked about on this broadcast, ahead of America 250, we are ending the show with our series, Great Americans, highlighting extraordinary Americans who have achieved so much in this country. Tonight, Tom speaks with a descendant of a Tuskegee Airman who's now inspiring the next generation of American pilots. Our Great American tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Alex Cole.
In the air, pilot Alex Cole knows he's flying on the shoulders of giants.
My great-uncle was an original Tuskegee Airman.
Pilots trained the Tuskegee way go on to earn high praise and wide acclaim.
The Tuskegee Airmen were America's first group of black aviators, serving in World War II during a time of racial segregation.
Squadron after squadron out of Tuskegee, flying P-40s first, tough little planes, then striking with Thunderbolts.
And I recognize that for not the strides that they went through, that I wouldn't be here where I am today.
Lieutenant Colonel Cole's journey began with the Air Force, serving 2 decades with tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then he became a presidential pilot, flying vice presidents and senior cabinet officials during the Bush and Obama administrations.
This is the age that we started wanting to learn how to fly.
Lieutenant Colonel Cole, now retired from active duty, has a new mission. Working with kids at Legacy Flight Academy.
Are you guys ready to fly?
His goal, to inspire the next generation of aviators.
In my heart, it's about teaching them that there is an opportunity out here to learn, do something that you may not have thought about, and expose them to that so that they can dream.
For some, those dreams already taking flight.
It was fun. I got to take off, and I was like 1,000 feet in the air.
I'm excited to just feel how it is to be a pilot.
I find it interesting to try new things, and I am pretty interested in aviation.
Wow. The limitless possibilities of the sky.
It's so different from up here.
Cole says echo the ever-expanding potential of the American dream.
Keep flying. We're in this continuous growth process of learning about who we are as a country, learning about our history, sharing our history, and growing from that point.
They didn't know what the future would be, but many hoped they'd get the chance to fly and fight in the air.
History, rooted in the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, continuing to soar.
The main thing I love about America is our diversity. And I love how beautiful our country is. We're a beautiful country and a powerful one that tries to set the standard. We don't always meet it, but our effort is to try to set the standard for the rest of the world.
Thank you, as always, for watching Top Story. I'm Hallie Jackson in Washington. Stay right there. We've got more news on the way.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.